Welcome in, everybody. This is episode 4 of my Pro Unreal Engine game developer class. And today is going to be one of the most challenging lectures we're going to do the entire time. So as you can see on our Jira board, today we're going to be checking our engine into Perforce, which is a very time-consuming process. And there's a lot of areas where you can screw something up. So throughout this process, you're basically going to have to be waiting around for things to happen. So definitely have something to do on the side. Like when I was filming this, I was reading a book. You can watch a show, do whatever you're going to do. But the key is just have something that you can do while you're waiting for things to load, because there's going to be a lot of that, and if you try to click on things as they're loading, Perforce will crash, and it's going to lock up your PC, and it's going to be very bad. So when I tell you not to click on something or to let things wait, just please do it, or else you're going to run into issues. But with all that being said, if you appreciate what I'm doing here and all the time and effort I'm putting into these videos, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and leave me a comment letting me know if you ran into any issues, if things are going well, or just in general, if you want to say what's up, it's always the best way to reach me. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so we have our board, and we have this task we already made. And you can see the description talks about checking in the folders into the depot. And that'll make more sense once we start doing it. And then we have all the reviews and checks that we're going to have to do, but we're going to leave that for next time. So we'll close out of this, move it into in progress, and we can go right into our trusty search bar and type in P4V and enter. And we want to close out of this wizard because we need to do things that are more complicated than that. Alright, so now we have this open, and we're going to have to move a bunch of these folders into the depot. And again, that's going to make more sense once I start doing it, but basically we're backing up all the folders. So we're going to start with the engine folder, and let's open that up to give us a little bit more space. And here's the depot, and now we're going to open the engine folder, and we're going to start with the binaries. So you see there's a whole bunch of folders in there, and we're just going to go one folder at a time. Okay, so right click, mark for add is what we're going to click. And we don't want to add to the default change list. We want to make a new change list, and we can call it add engine/binaries to Perforce. And you'll see these descriptions will get less detailed as we go, but I at least kept good notation for that first one. And you see that little wheel at the bottom right that I'm hovering my mouse cursor around? A good rule of thumb is you don't want to do anything until that wheel is done spinning. And if it's going slower for you, don't worry about it, because I actually skipped ahead here. So as you can see, we can click into that change set and see all the files. So you can see it's a lot of files, and I got some warnings in there if you look in the log, so don't worry about it. So we want to click right click and submit. And you can see here, we got a ton of files in there, over 35,000. So this is going to take a while. And this is where the having a book or something else to do comes in. You probably already needed it for the spinning wheel, but just mention it again. So you press submit, and I'm going to skip ahead until mine is all checked in. And as you can see here, we have submitted change 1, and we can see the files added. So it all worked. So we can move on to the build folder. Same process, right click, mark for add, and we'll call it add engine/build folder. And this is a much smaller folder, so we won't have to wait as long for the spinning wheel. And you see this pop up, we have wildcards in the titles of certain files. So Perforce doesn't like certain symbols, like the @ symbol, to be in Perforce at all. So we need to press uncheck all and continue. Because if we tried to check those files in, we would get an error. So don't worry about those errors in the log. If we ever need to get those files back, we can just get them from that zip file we had in a previous lecture. So we just want to press right click, submit, and then in this dialog again, we want to press submit, and the build folder is done. We still have a long way to go, but it's basically just repeating this process over and over again, as you'll see. So right click the config, mark for add engine/config, and we'll do it all again. Yeah, the config folder is really small, so we should be good to go. So right click submit, and press submit again. And now we'll do the content folder. This one's a little bit bigger. Add engine/content. And this one's bigger, so we're going to have to wait for that wheel, and you can pick up your book. And another thing you can do to check if things are loaded is that blue triangle that will go to red. And we can click the little arrow and see a whole bunch of files. And I'll skip again until my little wheel is stopped. So now that it's done, right click submit, and we'll send all those files on their way. So again, I'll skip ahead until this is done. And a few minutes later, you can see our files have been added successfully. So now we can move on to the next one, which is not derived data cache. That's one of the folders you don't want to add. So right click on documentation, mark for add engine/documentation, and again, do not add derived data cache. So we'll wait for our little wheel again, and that was pretty quick. Click down to make sure all the files are there, right click submit, and submit again. And that one was pretty quick, so that's good. And we can click into our depot and see that all the files we've added are there, which is good. So extras, right click, mark for add, and then we'll say we're going to be adding the engine extras. Getting a little repetitive yet? I know it is, but this is important. And extras is a pretty big folder, so I'll skip ahead until our wheel is done. And we have some wildcards again, so uncheck and continue. And again, ignore those warnings and errors down there, it's no big deal. So right click submit, and we'll submit again. And this is a bunch of files, so I'll skip ahead. And next up, we have the plugins folder. So again, don't add intermediate, go right to plugins, mark for add. And this is one of the biggest folders we have to add. So again, just be patient and get ready to do some damage in that book you're reading. Oh man, our circle isn't even spinning because this is going to take so long. So again, just wait till that circle's done, And I'm going to skip ahead. Alright, so we're all ready here. So right click, submit. And you can see we're freezing up a little bit because I clicked it too quickly, but it still worked. So as you can see, 62,000 files. That's pretty close to double our last biggest. And with that, we'll press submit and wait around for it to be done. Alright, so you can see we added all those files. And we can see it in the depot. And next up will be programs. So right click, mark for add, new, and add engine/programs. Give it a second here. Right click, submit. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of logs in here that we don't want. So we can get out of there, right click, and we want to edit the change list, and we can expand this a little bit. And what we're trying to do is find those log files. We can click the first one, scroll down a bit, and shift click that last one. And keep in mind, yours might look different depending on how many times you've ran. And we want right click, revert, and just revert them. And what that'll do is it basically just means they're not going to be added to source control. So as you saw, we just right click and submit again. Don't do saved. Right click on the shaders, mark for add engine/shaders. And if I remember correctly, this is a pretty small one, so it should be quick. Yep. Right click, submit, and submit again. Yeah, 963 seems small after whatever that other one was. And then we have the source folder, and this one is the biggest folder by far. So we're going to actually submit each one within there, one at a time. So right click on developer, mark for add, and we'll say add engine/source/developer. And by the way, the reason we're breaking this up into chunks is because if it fails, you want to not be trying to submit a million files, because then you'll just have to submit them all again. And this way, if it fails in the smaller chunks, it's not that big a deal. So right click, submit. And this one's actually pretty fast too. You can see I plugged in my phone just to charge it up a little bit. So editor, right click, mark for add. And we'll get the source/editor in there. And this is a pretty big one, so I'll skip ahead while our little wheel loads. And now that we've waited, we're ready to roll. Right click, submit. And submit again. And we'll just wait this one out. I don't know why it took so long to preload if there weren't that many files, but whatever. Alright, so now programs. Add engine/source/programs. And we'll skip ahead here also while our wheel loads. And there's even more of those wildcards. So uncheck all, continue. And we can see our files are now showing up. And now we can right-click submit and submit again. And this one's moving a little bit slower. Oh, there it goes. So I guess we'll just wait this out. Yeah, like these individual folders aren't that bad. The third-party one, which I believe is next, is the biggest. But these other ones aren't that terrible. We actually probably could have done it in all one change set. But it's better to be consistent and just do one at a time. Alright, now those are on its way. And again, ignore those wildcard errors. No big deal. Now we're going to do runtime. And another creative description. Add engine /source /runtime. And I'll skip ahead until our wheel is done. Alright, once again, we should be good. Right click, submit. Submit again. And this one is a lot of files, but they must be small because this is moving really quickly. And as you can see, we still have pending change list 8 open for some reason. So we can close out of that and just let this keep submitting. I think pending change list 8 was the one we had to find the log files. And on second thought, we're just going to skip the rest of this. And next up, we have what I believe is the biggest folder, the source third party. So mark that for add. And get ready to wait. And we'll just skip ahead until our little wheel is done. And same drill with the wildcards. So you can see they're all coming from that one directory, the C# examples. So no big deal. We can uncheck and continue. And now we're ready to submit. And again, I got a little eager here, so it got locked up. And this is a good display of what happens if you're not patient. So I'll skip ahead until things unlock. And this is like 10 minutes later when the dialogue finally came up. And yeah, 97,000 files. Jeez. And we still don't have much of anything responding. So we're going to wait until this loads a little bit more before clicking submit. Yeah, this is just a ton of files. And again, just waiting for our little wheel so things don't lock up again on us. You can read your book. I'll let you know when it's time. Yeah, the wheel's barely even turning. I'm gonna skip ahead. Alright, we're finally ready. Our wheel is green. We can press submit and then wait again. 97,000. Alright, that is finally done. And now the hard part is over. So we just want to add these miscellaneous files. just those final four, the target.cs. And I just write add engine source misc files. And we can very quickly send them on their way. Alright, so the engine folder is all done. The other ones aren't nearly as bad, you have my word. So quite the accomplishment here. And you can see everything's showing up in the depot. So great. In featured packs, we can right click, mark for add, and we can just say add feature packs. And it's only 12 files, so this will go pretty quickly. Submit. Send it on its way. And now we have our actual hide, seek, survive folder. And for this, we can just add, let's see here. We can just add config. And we don't need binaries or build because this isn't as big as the engine. So it's no big deal if we just have to build the binaries again. So all we need is config, content, and source. And that should be it. And no need to submit these one at a time because they're so small compared to the actual engine. Especially because we haven't added anything yet. Oh, and also we need to add the uproject file because that's very important. Yeah, make sure you don't delete that. Losing that would be a bit of a disaster. So add hide, seek, survive uproject file. And all that looks good. And this again will be pretty quick, so we'll just wait it out. But yeah, our content folder will grow. But for now, this is everything that's in there, which is fine. And it's almost time that we're done with this. So again, congratulations for making it this far. I know it's not easy, and I'm excited to actually show you guys how to develop instead of just checking things into source control and downloading software. But this is a necessary first few steps, and at the very least, it'll weed out the people who aren't serious about learning this, which is also good for me. Because again, if you know how to use Perforce, it's going to put you miles ahead of other candidates. So we can submit those. And we're almost done. Alright, so we'll send the samples on their way. So these are just exactly what they sound like. Just sample projects that come with the engine. And we'll send that on its way. Yeah, the Lyra one is the new Unreal Engine 5 sample project. It's actually pretty cool. Definitely check it out if you have a chance. But yeah, almost done. This is our second to last folder. And this video is already really long. I was thinking about trying to put the checks into here, but I don't want to make this video like 50 minutes, so I'll keep it to the other one as planned. Alright, so templates, and this is our last folder. So add templates. And this one's not that big either. So submit, and submit again. And you know what? Let's just skip ahead. Alright, so last but not least, we have our last few files here. And we want to not submit these bottom ones. Yeah, so just those files, but not those bottom 6. And we can just say add misc files and set it on its way, and we're done. Yeah, so we're looking pretty good, and we can go into the depot and see that the files are there. And that's it for this one. So yeah, we can move the task into review. And like I said earlier, we're going to wait to do that review until the next video, because it's going to take a really long time. And yeah, it's just better to not have a 50-minute video for your attention span and for my sanity as well. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and definitely leave a like or a comment to let me know that you like what I'm doing here. And subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for the next episode, where we will finally perform that review. But anyways, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later.